How you doing? How you doing? My name is Antonio. My page is Unapologetically Black 4209. I ask that you like and subscribe to the page. We have a message that we need to get out, and we need to understand that integration is not working. The legal system is not meant or designed to protect you. 16-year-old shot in the head for ringing the wrong doorbell. The person that shot him has been released. He was on his way to pick up his siblings. Therefore, that means he had no violent intent. He was most likely not armed. They did not even mention he was armed. So there was no form of aggression. Just ringing the wrong doorbell makes white people think they're justified in murdering a black person, a black child, and the police releases him. At some point, black people have to wake up and understand that you are not a part of this society. And your life does not matter to this system. And it will not matter until you put yourself in a position of authority and force in order to enforce your own human rights. That will not work as long as you are diluting your power. That will not work as long as you are all inclusive and want to add everybody into the equation. We've seen time and time again, we have constantly been betrayed by Europeans.
A 6-year-old boy is in the hospital tonight after his family says he was shot in the head after knocking on the wrong door. The suspect is not in jail tonight, and that is sparking protests. Ralph Yarl meant to go to a house on Northeast 115th Terrace to pick up a sibling on Thursday night, but he went to 115th Street instead. After he knocked on the door, he was shot. Tonight, his family and the community are calling for justice. KBC 9's Peyton Henley is in the studio tonight. Peyton, you were there as hundreds were marching tonight.
Right, Lynn, and the best news that with prayer and with passion, protesters gathered for 16-year-old Ralph Yarl.
Amen.
It's a show of solidarity and a call for accountability.
We want to open the eyes of Kansas City to this injustice.
Yarl went to pick up a sibling on Thursday night. He went to the wrong house. After he knocked on the door, his family says,
You say, why is there no protests when blacks kill blacks? Because blacks are incarcerated when blacks kill blacks. Let's stop playing these silly-ass games. Only in the cases where it's whites killing blacks that they are always given the benefit of the doubt, and black people have to unite and stand up for a person's humanity for them to be even prosecuted. That is why there's no protest when it's black on black, because they're looking for that black person and they're going to prosecute that black person. But when there's a white person, that is always in doubt. So I'm sick of black people using these white people talking points about why we stand up and act this way when we murdered by white people, because white people are getting away with it. Because there was no true consequences for Trayvon Martin, we're dealing with these consequences of this all over again. We're dealing with white people having the right to murder black people repeatedly because we was not properly given justice for Trayvon Martin, because there was no one held accountable for the murdering of this 16-year-old boy for just walking down the street. Now you have another black child murdered, shot in the head, not murdered, but shot, thus for knocking on the wrong door. Tamar Rice, Ahmaud Arbery. Tamar Rice just playing in the park as a kid, murdered. Ahmaud Arbery jogging down the street, murdered. Trayvon Martin just walking from the store to his father's house, getting Skittles, eating Skittles, murdered. Jimin was let off. Ahmaud Arbery killers would have been let off if they had not been circulating his murder videotape as if it was some form of porn, because to them it was porn. You have Tamir Rice playing with a toy gun in the street. Police roll up and murder him. You have a 16-year-old knock on the wrong address and he is shot. He's going to pick up his siblings, so there was no signs of aggression. I can say that. I can say based on what he was doing. And he was not armed because they did not say he was armed. Yet this white man is free. This will continue to occur until black men understand that it's up to you to take control of the security of your own community, and that will not happen without unity. I need black men to understand without unity, you cannot defend yourself, your family, and those closest and those that you love. Integration is not an effective policy. You are not a member of the society. They have repeatedly shown you this time and time again. They have made the murder of you profitable. George Zimmerman benefited hundreds of thousands of dollars while in jail just because he murdered a teenager.
George Zimmerman's initial bond was set at $150,000 back in April. The judge revoked it last month after learning Zimmerman and his wife misled the court about their finances. On Thursday, the judge said Zimmerman's deceit was not enough to hold him without bail and set bond at $1 million. Zimmerman would have to pay 10% or $100,000. A legal analyst says that's not all.
But he's got to post collateral for the remainder so that the entire $1 million is collateralized. So somebody's got to put up a house or a few houses to be the collateral for the bond.
The judge said he believes Zimmerman may have been planning to flee the country, so he set some new restrictions if he bonds out. He cannot open or maintain a bank account, be on airport property, apply for a passport, or leave the country. The attorney for Trayvon Martin's family reacted to the rulings.
George Zimmerman gained millions of dollars from the murder of Trayvon Martin. Let's understand he did not have that money before he murdered Trayvon Martin. White people donated money to his account. 50s, hundreds, and it added up to millions. Kyle Rittenhouse gained hundreds of thousands of dollars because he came to Milwaukee illegally. Remember, Kenosha had a curfew. So he came from another state, violating the curfew, armed himself. He was not of legal age to even arm himself, placed himself in danger, was allowed to get away with that and murdered two people. Yes, they was white, but they was at a Black Lives Matter protest. How can you place yourself in a situation that you know going to be dangerous, claim self-defense when you are illegally armed and you did it all illegally? White people have made it legal and profitable to lynch black people.
Amy Goodman. As we go right now to the capital of Texas, to Austin, where Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott says he's working as swiftly as possible to pardon a U.S. Army sergeant who was just convicted Friday of murdering a Black Lives Matter activist in 2020, just blocks from the Texas State Capitol building. The move comes after an Austin jury heard evidence in an 8-day trial deliberated for 17 hours before it convicted Daniel Perry of murder and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon for fatally shooting 28-year-old Garrett Foster, who was an Air Force veteran.
The jury found defendant Daniel Perry guilty of the offense of murder as alleged in count one of the indictment signed by the foreperson.
Perry was working as a rideshare driver when he drove his car into the protest after he had earlier tweeted he, quote, might have to kill a few people on my way to work. Garrett Foster was pushing his fiance's wheelchair and was legally carrying an AK-47 rifle at the protest when Foster shot him 4 times with his .357 Magnum pistol, later telling police Foster did not point his rifle at him, but, quote, "I didn't want to give him a chance to aim at me," he said. Garrett.
So you have to understand it's okay to kill these nigga lovers. That's just the fact of the matter. If they white and they side with blacks, he's dating a black woman, in love with the black woman at a Black Lives Matter protest, he's a nigga lover. It's okay to kill this nigga lover. This is the mentality of these Europeans. They can talk that law and order all you want, but what they really want is to legalize your extermination. So I'm sick of that, not all white people, because as a collective, this is what white people are. He was voted in by a majority of white people in Texas. So a majority of white people have no issue with this. See, as long as these white people are willing to overlook your humanity, then you have to blame them for all the actions of the people they vote into office. This is why the people in the Middle East had a certain feeling about America people, is because it's promoted as a democracy. So the things that the politicians do, they saying they do on behalf of the American people. So the things that Greg Abbott is doing, freeing this person who was convicted of murdering a Black Lives Matter protest, he's doing it on behalf of the people who elected him. Let's stop ignoring these facts. Let's stop leaving it on just the white people, those Pacific white people. Understand it's the other poor white people who empowered these white people to infringe upon your freedom, your rights, and your humanity.